What up, everyone? It's your boy Satem Ali, the Reverend of the Revolution, welcoming you to another edition of your Daily Revolution, the podcast that helps you to wake up, turn your brain on, and to prosper every single day in every part of your life. Today's topic, courage versus fear. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. My son told me just the other day, Daddy, guess what I did? I'm like, what? He's like, I volunteered and I'm going to try out for the solo. I'm like, the solo? What solo? He's like there's a play and there's a part for the solo, to sing a solo. Man, I could not have been more happy. Not because my son's like trying to do this thing and take a lead role, but because he got out of his comfort zone. How many times in your life do you stop taking action? Do you stop doing? You don't even attempt to do what's required because of fear. My son is afraid of things. I'm afraid of things. We're all afraid of things. This is why I laugh when people talk about be fearless. Listen, you're always going to have fear. That's the truth. True, there's times where the fear dissipates and it becomes so small because you have mastered the skill at hand. You've mastered and prepared yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. But here's the skinny truth about fear. It's always going to be there. I remember as I finished wrapping up my book, Winning After the Game, which right now it's currently with the ghostwriters getting finished. I wrote the book. I had it self-published. I had the proofs, and then something inside of me said, hey, September, make this thing right. Level this thing up. So I went and got me a professional ghostwriter who's going to help me publish it because I want this thing to really impact people. And the moment I had the proof in my hand, I was ready to throw the book away. Why? Because of fear. The fear inside of me said, no one will read this book. It's not good enough. Get rid of the book. I had spent all this time, energy, and money. I had the book in my hands, cover, paid for, all the words on paper, editor, and I was ready to throw it away because of fear. See, fear is deadly. Fear stops us. It hurts us. Fear kills more dreams than anything else. Afraid of what other people might think about us. Afraid of how we may look in public. Afraid of the results that we might not get. And maybe even sometimes we're afraid that we will succeed. Now we're on the hook to actually produce and really be responsible. So how do we deal with fear? And then there's multiple ways, but in my experience with my clients, in my life with my family, and all the people I've ever worked with, it's really simple. Choose courage. See, courage says, in spite of the fear, I'm simply going to act. So let's say you have a goal right now, right? You want to launch a business. I'll give a couple examples. The lizard brain inside of you says, dude, that is the dumbest thing. You're going to fail. What will people think? It costs too much money. You don't know what you're doing. No one's appointed you. No one's certified you. You know what? Just stay where you're at. Stay comfortable. That's the lizard brain. That's the resistance. That's fear. And we know that courage simply says to act in spite of fear. This happened with me back in 2013. As I was finishing up my third summer knocking doors, I heard the voice that said, it's time to go coach. It's really your time. September, you've been prepared and groomed, and you've gone through the furnace of affliction. You've got the skills. You've got success. You were a football championship player at BYU and at the Patriots. You ran a very successful mortgage business. It is time. And you know what the lizard brain inside of me said? Who are you, September, to do this? Who are you to call yourself the Reverend? Who are you to start proclaiming? You're not Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar or Tony Robbins. You're not Brian Tracy or Grant Cardone. You're just this 6'4", tall, dark, and handsome. Just kidding. But you're just this guy. Who gives you permission? And I chose courage. Courage simply means you're going to do what's required in spite of how you feel. Courage simply means you're going to take the first step. And 2.5 years later, as I'm shooting this in the spring of 2016, I could not be more happier, more blessed, more peaceful, knowing that I'm living my purpose. So will you choose courage over fear? Let's take another example. Let's say that you're married, you have a partner, spouse, and like something's going on in your marriage and relationship, and you're like, dude, I don't, man, and you keep suppressing this inside of your gut. You just like keep hiding it and pretending. Well, that's fear telling you, well, what might happen? Well, what will they say? Well, what if I say the wrong thing? Well, what if they get mad and leave? The real question is, can you be honest? And will you choose courage to confront your spouse about what you don't like? Now, confront has this negative connotation. Oh, hey, you! That kind of reminds me of like George McFly. Hey, you, get your hands off of her. Back to the Future. Now, I'm not talking about that confront, although it could be. Confronting simply means instead of faking it, you face it. You go have the conversation with your spouse. I remember some time ago, I posted something on Facebook, and it contains some very colorful metaphors and adjectives. And I was very angry when I posted, and I posted this like I knew I was going to catch flack from the community because they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe September said that. Well, my wife had the courage to confront me, and it was awesome. We went to war about it. She stood her ground, I stood my ground. She had perspective, I had perspective. In the end, I was unwilling to move from my position, and at least she had the courage to confront me. We were stronger for it. Yeah, we had a pretty heated conversation, and I'm so grateful that instead of suppressing it and doing the silent treatment and like throwing things, my wife just came out and said, you are wrong. And we went to war. After war, we made up, we made love, we had peace. And I'm not afraid to confront my wife on things, little things. Look, powerful people confront. They don't let fear dictate their lives. What a shame it would be to go to your grave with fear tattooed all over your body. See, people say, you shouldn't get tattoos, right? A lot of people that I know, oh, you shouldn't get a tattoo. I'm like, listen, stay in your own business. But most people, like good Christian worshiping God-fearing people, they've got fear tattooed all over their bodies. They worship fear more than God. How do we know this? Because fear tells them to do something or to not do something, and they do it. So choose courage. Courage is saying, regardless of what happens, I'm going to take the first step. Regardless of what that person says, I'm going to ask them out on a date. I can understand. I've got friends who are single, divorced, single parents. And they confide in me and they say, man, September, this is scary. It's challenging. I'm like, and it always comes down to fear. I ask, what do you want? And they'll say, well, this is what I want. I'm like, well, will you do it? Like, I don't know. Why won't you do it? And if they're honest, they're like, because I'm afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of what people might say. Afraid of results that we're making up a story about. Fear is destructive. And the way you overcome fear is to choose courage. Now let's take a look at this across body, being, balance, and business. With your body, if you are afraid of failing to lose weight or failing in a competition, just take those steps and keep moving forward. If you're afraid to become more spiritually connected, you're afraid of what might happen, consequences with you inside of commitments, covenants, and obligations, I just have you consider, what is the voice asking you to do? What would it look like to walk by faith? Inside your relationships, what have you been avoiding out of fear? What are you not doing because fear has been paralyzing you and dictating your life? And of course, in business, this is easy. Fear stops us from doing what's required. Fear stops us from doing what's required to tighten our abdominal muscles. Fear hinders us from becoming more spiritual. Fear, opposition, the resistance, all the same thing. And I don't even look at it as bad. I just look at it as saying, thank you for letting me know that I'm on the right path and that I'm about to do something significant. Launching this podcast, I had a lot of fear wrapped up around it. Writing my book, I had a lot of fear wrapped up around it. Coming home from the NFL 10 plus years ago and thinking, man, what do I do with my life? I had a lot of fear wrapped up. Fear will always be there. Even when you make your first 100,000 in a month, your first 100,000 in a year. Your first 50,000, it doesn't matter that the money's there. You could make $1 million, and you're still going to have fear. You will still have fear. So don't ever think that when you arrive at some destination, oh, fear's done. It's going to be a constant gift from the heavens to give you contrast and perspective and allow you to choose courage and to act with courage, to act with faith, to act with power. Brothers and sisters, choose courage today. Stop worshiping fear. Whatever it is that you are supposed to do with your body, being, balance, or business, confront it. Quit faking it. Face it. It's your boy, Satem Mangala, reminding you, if you're going to create a life that you love, a life of real radical results, it's going to require you to get into relentless pursuit with the ruthless commitment to pay the piper every single day to get to the top of your mountains, where your prize, promised lands, and possibilities are waiting for you. The revolution has begun. I'm out. For more info on joining the revolution and living your greatest life of prosperity today, go to www.yourdailyrevolution.com and join us in waking up, turning your brain on, and prospering today.